Morning. Morning, everyone. Morning, Jasmine. Morning, Alex B. Nice to see you. Oh, Julie Reese Diva. Gosh, another early start for you, Julie. Morning, Lynn. Morning, Savannah. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. It is very lovely. A bit earlier this morning, but I'm just chuffed to see you all. Morning, Lindsay. Nice to see you. I'm really well, thank you, Caroline. How are you doing? How is everyone today? How are you all doing? Morning, Amelia. Morning, Andrew. Julie says hello from California, everyone. Gosh, so 1 o'clock in the morning in California. Gosh. Edward says QCH. QCH is Quest Cognitive Hypnotherapy. So the Quest Institute is a training school, and QCH was founded by Trevor Sylvester about 23 years ago, and the Institute has been training new therapists ever since. So it's a framework, really, lots of different, it's not traditional hypnotherapy, it's a framework of different therapies. So I hope that explains a bit. For more info, have a look on my profile, and there's a link there. You can see the Quest Institute and my Quest Hub, lots of free resources if you're interested. So, Lynn, yes, my boys, excellent this morning. I've got my son is in the lounge watching telly. Really lovely to have him home. For those of you who don't know, my son George was travelling. He's been travelling for about a year. He's been all over Southeast Asia, all over Australia, and he's back. He surprised us and just turned up one night unexpectedly. So I consequently burst into tears and ran around screaming a bit. So, but it was lovely. Nice surprise. San, hello. It is good to see you. That's right, Edward. I'm glad that the explanation. It's good to ask, isn't it? You have to ask, because I mean that's our big thing. I'm to declare an interest here. I'm the training manager for the last 2 years at the Quest Institute, and we're just trying to get our therapy out there so that people know what it's about. It's all very evidence based. There's a research study ongoing. So it's a good therapy. I think so anyway. Maybe I'm a bit biased. Let's see. Okay, so beginning to get questions in. So for those of you who are new here, I'm Sarah. I'm a QCH therapist, and I come on live on TikTok every Friday, just really to talk about mental well-being, about self-care, about anxiety. My speciality is the thing that I really enjoy working with. Is I work with people who are suffering from anxiety, and so the work that I do is very practical. It's very gentle and easy. So I answer any questions that you might have on any of those topics. This is a safe space. This is a community place where we do our best to make it really comfortable for everyone. And I couldn't do that by myself, because you can probably see that the comments start flying through, and it's hard to keep up with all of them. I do my best, but I've got a really great team of moderators on here who are all volunteers. They're not therapists, but they can answer sort of the housekeeping questions, and they're just kind, lovely people. So I've got Lynn 250, Jasmine, Vicky Hodson. Sometimes Vicky Handlebars is here, sometimes Zanshin is here, and they're all just lovely. So the only rule that we have is that kindness is the rule. We all know what that looks like, don't we? And if anyone is a bit silly or not very kind, then they're muted and blocked. So anyway, here we are. So what I tend to do is I'll sort of write down a couple of questions and answer them, then get a few more and so on. So I'll let you know if I'm doing your question. Let's have a look. So Caroline says, it's amazing how much you miss their presence when they're gone, isn't it? What a lovely surprise. It totally was. Totally was. Joe Manda, welcome. Thank you very much for sending me a rose. That's very kind of you. The thing that is, please don't feel that you have to send me anything at all that you have to pay for, because all of this is free. Everything that I do on here is free. You don't need to subscribe. You don't need to do anything like that. It's all absolutely free. If you go into my profile, there's a link and there's lots of free resources. If you can't stay for long, if you're thinking, oh, well, I'm interested in anxiety, or I have anxiety, then I always upload these to my YouTube. And again, that's through my link tree on my profile page, which you can get to by clicking on my photograph of my face. So, but the more likes you do, likes by just tapping on your screen, as I just tap 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 tap, the more that happens, the more the algorithm recognizes that people will be interested in it, sends it out to more people. So that's a really helpful thing. If you could do that, I really appreciate it. Also, if you fancy following me, that's great. If you fancy sharing the live to anyone, then also, again, that's lovely. But, don't do anything you don't feel comfortable with. See what you think of it. Okay. Morning, Vicky Handlebars. Morning, nice to see you. What I love is this is such a nice community, and you'll see if you come more than once, people will recognise you and say hello. So if you feel comfortable with getting involved in a chat in the comments, then absolutely do. Let's have a look. Yes, I'm earlier today, Elaine. I'm usually a bit later, but I've got such a busy day today. I thought I'll do this early and then I can do all the rest of my things. Okay, so I'm just scanning through, having a look at the comments. So Emma says, M23165 is asking about health anxiety. Best treatment, health anxiety, best treatment. Okay, so I'll come back to you on that, Emma. And Ellie says, my anxiety gets to such a high point, I can't see how I can get out of it or be happy again. Oh, bless you. It's so horrible, isn't it? When you're suffering from anxiety, it's so invisible to the rest of the world, and people don't understand how absolutely overwhelming it can feel. So I really hope that some of the things I talk about today can be helpful to you, Ellie. And also do have a browse on my page. There's lots of categories. And it's the thing about anxiety is that it's not something that, you're going along in your day and then something happens and you think, oh, I've got to pinpoint that and do something now. It's much more a holistic approach. Because what's happening when you're anxious is that your body is sending you messages that there's threat. And that may well be true. There may well be a threat in your environment. But it may also be that your mind is heading off into the future and imagining that there may be something bad is going to happen. Or perhaps you've had stuff happen in the past that your brain has helped you survive, but you're being triggered by things that match with that event in the past. And so if your triggers are everyday things, then you're constantly being triggered into anxiety, and you have this level of stress hormones in your system which absolutely feels horrible and triggers all sorts of physical symptoms. So it's not about thinking, oh, I'll just mend this now. It's much more about looking at your lifestyle, looking at your environment, looking at your mindset, and working slowly and gently in the best way that feels comfortable for you to change that mindset, to just turn it on its head, to turn lifestyle on its head, to create an environment where your nervous system understands that you're safe. So there's lots of videos on that, Ellie, on my page if you're interested in having a wee look at that. Kazoo says, I prefer to deal with my problems myself. I don't like talking to people. So, do you know what? We all deal with things differently, don't we? And that's absolutely fine. If you want to, if you can work through stuff by yourself, then that's okay. That's all right to do that. I think we all have to find our own way, don't we? For a lot of people, it really helps to talk it through and to have someone who's not emotionally attached to the issue and can have a bit more of an objective viewpoint on it. But if that's not for you, then that's absolutely fine. So I've got a question that's being asked. I can't see your name, but how do you deal with a father that's emotionally unavailable? Okay, father emotionally. I wish I could write more quickly. I can't, so I'm just writing that down. I will come to you, okay? I will come and answer that question, all right? So I'm just having a little look through. Yeah, Vicky Handlewise, my son he has a brilliant time. He's back, he's sitting next door. If you can hear noises from the telly, that's my son. He's watching a film. So, yeah. Thank you for asking. Oh, Becky Stoneley. I'm new here. Morning to you, Becky. Nice to have you here. Welcome. And look, there's a question here from Bollywood Best. Bollywood Best. I love that. Bollywood Best. How to get rid of anxiety? That is the $1 million question, isn't it? Okay, so let me answer a few of these questions, all right? And I will keep scrolling through. Thank you for those of you who are answering, those of you who are joining me here, joining us here. It's lovely to have you. As I was saying earlier, if you like what you're seeing and you think that other people might be interested, then if you tap on your screen, then that sends likes and the algorithm goes, oh, this might be interesting for other people, and it sends it off into the world. Please don't feel that you need to send me any gifts, or you don't need to subscribe. Everything is free. So let me answer M's question. M says, what's the best treatment for health anxiety? So, thank you, Stormy. Very kind of you. Health anxiety is one of those things that is, well, in technical terms, it's a bit of a bugger, really. It's because what happens when you go into anxiety, you go into fight or flight. So your nervous system is constantly surveying your environment, and it's picking up signals, and it's working out in a nanosecond, is this a threat or is this okay? And it works that out based on past experience and so basically past experience. And with something like health anxiety, what happens is that for whatever reason you get triggered into anxiety, so you're in fight or flight, and you get a huge release of adrenaline and cortisol. Your heart starts to beat more quickly, your breathing changes, your digestion changes, your muscle tone changes. All sorts of things happen physiologically to you. And if you've got stuff around you or stuff in the past that has made you sort of hypersensitive to those changes in your body, or aware of other people having perhaps been ill, other people around you, maybe yourself being ill, then what happens is that your cognitive brain goes, aha, this physical symptom that I'm feeling now must mean that I've got this disease, or I've got this thing, or I've got... And it's really tricky, because you get stuck in a closed loop, because you've been triggered for whatever reason, your brain has made it mean something, and so then you become more anxious, and because you become more anxious you get more physical sensations, and so because you've got physical sensations you it just basically goes around and around. So what can you do about it? So that what I always say to everyone with any type of anxiety, and I know that the profession likes to put labels on people and say, oh, generalised anxiety disorder, health anxiety, social anxiety, this anxiety, that anxiety. All of those labels help us to sort of specify what area makes you anxious. But actually, it all comes down to the fact that you are being flooded with adrenaline and cortisol, and that your nervous system believes that you're in danger. And so if you're no longer in danger, if we help your brain to understand that thing that happened has finished now, and that you're safe and now is different, or if we can help give your nervous system an environment where you are safe, then those feelings begin to to disappear. Because if you're not in danger, there's absolutely no reason for you to be in fight or flight, because you're either safe, in which case all is well and you're in flow and everything's lovely, or you're not safe, and in which case you're either in your sympathetic nervous system, which is fight or flight, or maybe you're in your parasympathetic nervous system, which is potentially freeze, flop. So we're all going, if you imagine your nervous system like a ladder, so if you think the top of it is you're in what's called ventral vagus, so all is well with the world, and you're in flow, you're with the people that you love, you feel connected, all is well. That's where we'd all love to be, isn't it? But unfortunately, we don't stay there all the time. It's temporary. All of these different places in our ladder are temporary. So sometimes something triggers us and we go down to fight or flight, and it can be something that just happens in an instant, like you just go to cross the road and a car comes and you're like, oh my goodness me, you're in fight or flight, you've done that thing, that's flight, and the car goes, you think, oh blimey, I must be a bit more careful crossing the road in future, and you go back to feeling all right. Quite quickly all of those stress hormones dissipate. But if you're constantly being triggered, if your trigger is your boss, or your trigger is the fact that you're living in a place where your parents are arguing, or you're being bullied at school, then you're going to be feeling those symptoms. And so it's hard, isn't it? So I'm going round and round the houses here a bit, aren't I? I apologise for that. The short answer is to start with, create an environment of safety. And we do that with self-care, by practically looking at what can I do about this. That question, what can I do, is incredibly helpful. Instead of waiting for someone to come and save us, it's really important to be able to go, okay, I have a problem with my boss, or I have a problem with these people at school, or there are some things that it's really difficult to do anything about. There's a lot of things that you can make some sort of difference with. So communication is really important. Doing things each day that you really love and look forward to. So even the environment, whether it's work or school or whatever it is really challenging and difficult for you. You know that when I get home, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to meet these people. So that environment of safety, doing things which you love and look forward to, being able to look back on them, being mindful in the moment, connecting with things that you love, that's really, really important. I think with health anxiety, I think it can be really helpful to go and see a therapist to talk to them about it. And it doesn't matter what sort of therapist it is, it's about finding the person that clicks for you, whether that's someone like me who does QCH therapy, whether it's a counsellor, whether it's a psychologist, whether it's some other form of therapy. It doesn't matter, because they will all be able to help you, and it's about finding the person that feels right for you. Because with health anxiety, what's really important is, although you can do lots for yourself, getting to the root of it is really important, and reframing that in whatever way that particular therapist uses. So I hope that helps a little bit. It's a tricky one, but absolutely you can come through it. So I hope that helps a wee bit. Thank you for asking the question. I know a lot of people, there are other videos on my page about health anxiety, so do go and have a wee look. Okay, so thank you to all of you who are joining us or have joined us. I'm Sarah, and I talk every Friday about anxiety, about well-being, about self-care, and I've got some lovely moderators here to keep this a nice safe space and answer sort of practical questions that I don't see or that fly by. So if you can't stay and you can't watch the whole of this, then don't worry, because I'll upload it to YouTube later on today or over the weekend. So my YouTube is Sarah Fri Therapy. You can see the spelling of my name up here on this little notice, just that on YouTube, Sarah Fri Therapy, or you can find it on my profile. There's a little link that will take you through there. So do go along and have a wee look if you fancy, if you can't stay for the whole thing. So the next question I was going to answer is how to get rid of anxiety. And actually, Bollywood Best, I think I've probably just answered that because, with what I was saying. So I think it's anxiety we're going to get rid of completely. Really useful thing. That example I just said about, the fight or flight being sometimes when our nervous system is sending us anxiety, it's sending us a message. It's sending us a message that potentially things are not okay in our environment. And so that is for us to do something about. So listen to those messages. If you have, and I meant to say this about health anxiety, if you have physical symptoms that are not normal, they are not something that you're used to, always go and get them checked out by a doctor, because it may well be that they say, oh, it's okay, it's anxiety and you can do this, this and this. But what if it's not? It's always best to go and get them checked out, because the sooner you get stuff checked out, the sooner you can get treatment and the sooner you'll be fine again. I think that's really important. But Bollywood Best, the stuff that I was saying there about creating an environment of safety, looking at your lifestyle and going, what can I do? Because my nervous system thinks that I'm in danger. Now, our nervous system really doesn't care if we're happy. Our nervous system is built to help us to survive. So it's like an alarm bell going off. It's like a burglar alarm that's going off. And that's great if, someone is, you're in an environment, something has happened, like, for example, a car. That example I gave of the car and stepping out in front of a car, that system is the alarm bell, the burglar alarm going off, and it sends you the message, move, get yourself to safety. But if you're being triggered every day because maybe there's an illness, or maybe you're in an environment where you can't just remove yourself from it, then that can be really exhausting. So to practically look at how can you change, how can you send messages of safety. And on my page there's lots and lots of stuff around safety, around physical techniques, breath techniques, visualizations, tapping, all sorts of stuff like that can really help. So I hope that helps a little bit. Now then, the question from, I don't know your name, but Little Love Heart, how do you deal with a father who's emotionally unavailable? Well, I'll be honest with you that this is not an area that I'm particularly experienced in working with, but I know that having anyone who's emotionally unavailable to us is a real jar to our nervous system, because we need social connection. Our nervous systems, if you think of us as being almost like spaghetti on legs, our nervous systems are constantly surveying our environment. And as we grow up, we learn how to cope, we learn how to co-regulate. Our parents are the people who teach how to survive situations. They teach us that it's okay to cry, it's okay to be upset, it's okay to be angry, because you feel those feelings for a reason, you'll come out the other side, and then you're hopefully loving and kind and so on. However, not everyone is like that. And there are people who, for whatever reason, are emotionally unavailable. And that will be because of whatever their life journey is. And the sad thing is that I think it's that understanding that that other person is beyond your control. So it's horrible, because ideally what we want is to have parents who are kind and loving and giving, and we have that social connection. So our nervous systems come together and join and co-regulate in a way that is healthy and brings us into a sense of growth. But if someone is damaged in whatever way, whether they have got their own mental health issues or for whatever reason, there comes a time where I think it's important to talk about it. It's important to communicate, But if that person chooses not to reciprocate that your attempts to communicate with them, then that's difficult, isn't it? So I would perhaps talk to other people. If you have maybe you have a mum, or you have another trusted person in your environment that you can talk about this with, that would be really helpful. And I think to a certain extent it's that acceptance that this person's behaviour is beyond my control. If you think about the things we can control ourselves. We can control what we wear each morning, what we eat, where we go, how we walk. We can control our own actions. Anything else beyond that is beyond our control. We can try and influence those closest to us, but we still can't make them be something that they're not. And so I'm sorry if that doesn't really answer your question, but I suppose it's about being kind to yourself, self-compassion, to help yourself understand it's okay. This is not about me. This is about his issues, his problems, and I am okay. I am okay as a person. I have other people who love me and that are emotionally available. So that's what I would say. I hope that helps a little bit. But you take care, because I know that must be a difficult thing that you're going through. Right, let me have a look at some more stuff. So Robin says, Robin C says, anxiety went about 6 months ago. It seems to have come back due to a stressful event. So that would make sense, if you think about it. When I said about you crossing the road and the car comes and you get flooded with adrenaline and cortisol, you remove yourself from the road and everything goes back to normal. And this is a similar thing. So you've been living your life 6 months of everything just being okay, living your life, and then a stressful event comes and your nervous system goes, whoa, this is a threat, this is threatening, this is dangerous, and so it floods you with adrenaline and cortisol again. So that's what's happening. Your nervous system, it's not that you're broken, it's not that you've had a relapse, it's just like this is a new event, but it's a stressful event, and so your nervous system is going, okay, we know that in the past fight or flight, freeze or flop has helped us, and so what we're going to do is we're going to put it back into place. So it will pass, and it's important to be kind to yourself, to go, okay, this will pass. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show my nervous system that I'm safe. So to do things, like some of the physical techniques that I share, some of the breath techniques, can be really helpful. Tapping can be really helpful for this. I've done various videos on that, which will hopefully be helpful for you. So I hope that's all right, and it will start to go. If you don't give your focus to the anxiety, give your focus to the things that are going well in your life. Doing a little journal of what's been my best moment today can be really helpful, because that gives you evidence that there are best moments and that things start to get better. So I hope that helps a little bit. Oh, let me see. So I'll scroll through some more of these questions. Oh gosh, so I've seen Anthea Holt. Not sure you remember talking to me a while back, but I finally went to the doctor this week and told them I needed help. Well done, Anthea. I thank you so much for coming back and telling us that you did it. I think that's so inspiring for other people on here, because I'm sure there's lots of people who are watching this and are thinking, oh, blimey, I know that I don't feel right and I'm scared to go to the doctor. I'm scared to reach out for help. They're going to think I'm this, that and the other. And you're an absolute example of someone who took that leap of faith and went and asked for help. So I'm so pleased and really appreciate you coming back and telling us. So good on you. Right, let's have a look. Oh, Robin, good. So thanks. Yes, I've tapped and the breathing is interesting. So good. Yeah. So take yourself back to that environment of safety. Start to do the things that help you. Oh my goodness. So Abby Fulcher saying, oh bless you, Abby. I lost my dog two days ago. How do I cope with the grief? Oh my goodness. Okay. First of all, I'm really sorry that you've lost your dog, because they're just like family, aren't they? You know, it's something that is absolutely devastating when we lose anyone in our family, and anything that we're close to is devastating. And I think that grief is a journey that you have to be in it, I'm afraid. It's not something that you want to rush through. It's not something that you want to avoid. It's something that is completely normal and natural, and it hurts. So I think being with people that you love, talking about your dog, and sharing how lovely your dog was, the funny things that the dog did, the loving times when the dog noticed that you were upset and came and had a snuggle. I think it's really important that we really embrace the life that we've had, and trying to get over it too quickly is just, grief takes its time. So I think be kind to yourself, talk to other people, do the basic things like eating and drinking and trying to sleep. And over time, I know this is a cliche, but over time the feelings will change. So yeah, I'm afraid there's no magic cure, unfortunately. But be with other people, be with the people who understand, and have that physical, emotional contact. But I'm really sorry that you've lost your dog. It's really hard. And Anthea said here, so and Anthea just let us know that because she came a while ago and said that she was struggling and was afraid to go and seek help, and she's come back today and said that she's done it. She went to the doctor and she's got help. And she says here, to anyone who's struggling, it was bloody hard, really hard, but I'm glad I did it. You can too. So hear those words, because it's so true. The hardest thing about reaching out, talking to someone about how you're feeling, is just having the courage to do that, because we make up our futures, don't we? We imagine, oh, people will think this, I'll be judged, they'll do this, they'll do that. I remember when my boys were young and I struggled, I had postnatal depression, and I was really frightened to go to the doctor, because I really thought if I go to the doctor, they are going to take my boys away from me. They're going to realise what a rubbish mum I am. And it was really hard. And it's only when I got to the point where I thought, I just literally cannot do this any longer, that I just went to my friend's house and I said in tears, please look after my boys, I'm going to the doctor. And I went to the doctor and I walked in and I just stood in reception saying, I have to see someone, I have to see them this morning now, because I can't do this anymore. And fortunately they were kind and I got the help I needed. But it took, it took getting to the edge. Don't go to the edge. As soon as you're feeling not all right, go talk to people. Honestly, it's not as bad. So let me scroll through. Thank you so much for all of your questions. There's so many this morning, and which is really wonderful. I can't see them all, and I try to answer as many as I can. Let's have a look. So I saw one there that was interesting. Oh dear me. Okay. Let's see. Just scrolling through. There was something. Abby says, he really was the love of my life, my soulmate. I miss him so much. The guilt is the worst part. Oh, bless you, Abby. Well, I mean, I think it's natural to have all sorts of feelings rushing around your head and your heart at the moment. So I would say don't make any big decisions right now. Don't, just be with this And I don't know the circumstances, but I can't imagine that you did anything wrong. I would have thought you probably have done everything you could to help your dog. So please be kind to yourself. Let's have a look. Susan Elizabeth Wade. My husband took his life 3 years ago, and then my daughter took her life. Oh my goodness. I am so sorry to hear that. What a very, very difficult time that must be for you. Not long ago, is it? I imagine that feels like an instant ago. So I'm sorry to hear that. I'm just looking through. Let's see. So Helen says there's not enough support in the workplace for mental well-being. Most of us suffer in silence. I absolutely agree with you, Helen. I think that it's sorry, I'm just going to write this down. I think it's a massive thing at the moment that companies, whether it's private companies or social, state or whatever you call them, state companies, public, whatever, I don't know the words. You know what I'm trying to say. Hopefully, maybe not. I think that everyone is under the cosh. Everyone is struggling. If you're working in a place and things are good and your company understands you and is supportive, then absolutely hang on to that job, because that is like gold. I think there are a lot of people who are afraid to talk about how they feel at work because they think that they're going to be labelled as weak, or maybe miss out on promotions, or all those things. And that might be true in some cases. In some places, it's absolutely true, because there's a culture of really toxic behaviour in a lot of companies that you're expected to be on call 24/7. You're expected to work, to do overtime. You can't say no. They'll get you to sign to say that you're happy doing overtime. All of that kind of stuff. It's really wrong. I was chatting actually over the weekend with a friend and colleague of mine, Jill Tonks, and I know I've mentioned her before. But she is doing fantastic work in this field. She's been in she was in the probation service for over 20 years, and she's been a therapist for a very long time too. And she does training courses for therapists to go into companies and absolutely deal with this, to begin to change the culture so that you can get the support that you need. I know for me, when I worked in school, and I went through a period of time where I'd worked in school for 10 years, over 10 years, and I felt I was a highly valued member of staff. I worked really hard, I was involved in lots of stuff, and all of a sudden I went and I worked with this teacher, and she nearly destroyed me. I've never ever met anyone like it. She lied, she bullied. She was horrible. She was horrible to the children. She was horrible to me. And there was no way out of it, because it's her word against mine. And they didn't care for me as the person that had come with the complaint. I was the one that I had to prove that I hadn't done anything wrong, And she lied her way through the whole process. And so that's the thing, is if you're dealing with people like that, it's really, really hard. So I think it's about changing the culture from within. It's about, rather than just talking a good game of, let's all talk about mental health, we need to not just tick boxes, we need to actually take action. And I'm actually going to be doing a course later on this year with Jill Tonks about this very thing, so that perhaps I can have some sort of influence on this. I don't know if small, but to perhaps be able to help a little bit. So, gosh, let's have a look. Just going through this. Thank you all so much for being here. It's a bit earlier this morning. I usually do these lives around 10 o'clock. but they do change a wee bit. I always post them on my profile page, and if I remember, I don't think I remembered this week. I didn't put one so you could set reminders, but I'm glad you're here. It seems to be all right. Okay, let's have a little look. So Hayley, you were talking about overthinking, and I can see that Lynn 250 is trying. Oh, that sounds awful, doesn't it? Lynn 250 is helping you with some really great suggestions there. I think that the thing about overthinking is that, so we're different types of people, aren't we? You know, there are people who are perhaps very visual. They live in a world of colour and pictures and images, and that's how their world is. There are people who are kinesthetic, who are very touchy-feely, and they like things to feel comfortable. And there's also another type of person that perhaps we don't know so much about, and that's someone called audio digital. This is a kind of an NLP thing. Oh, thank you, V. That's very kind of you. And audio digitals are people who very much in their heads, very much thinkers. And that can be something that feels a bit overwhelming. You've constantly got that conversation going on in your head of, you know, what if this happens and what if that happens? And if I do this and I've got to do that and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It can be exhausting. And what I would say to that is you can look at that as a superpower, because actually you obviously have a gift for being able to work through different scenarios, but it's about being able to break free of that loop sometimes and to get into your body more. So if you're very much in your head overthinking, then it can be really helpful to do something that's more hands-on, to perhaps do some breath work, to do some connecting with your body, maybe exercise, maybe getting out into nature, feeling the warmth of the sun on your skin, being very mindful of the physicality of your environment, so that your focus is not so much in your head and internally, but is looking externally, if that makes sense. So I don't think you're ever going to stop thinking, because thinking is a superpower, but we can begin to change our focus. Another thing we can do for overthinking is that if we've got loads of stuff that's going round and around and around, what we can do is write that down. Write it down and then go through it and go, right, this is completely beyond my control. I can't do anything about the fact that I don't know, I don't want to be political, but I won't go there, but you know, a certain person is doing this in the world, cross that out. It might well be that you're thinking, oh, I think that the milk's out of date in the fridge. Well, you can do something about that, can't you? You can go and double check it, and if it's out of date, throw it out, and if it's not, keep it. You know, I mean, that's a silly example, but do you know what I mean? So you cross off the things that you can't do anything about, you do something about the things that you can do things about, and that can be really helpful. So it helps a little bit, but good suggestions as well. Lynn, thank you for that. Let's have a look. Oh, so Julie Reese Diva was just saying, just trying to see so there's a book. Oh, okay, so there's a book called Big Cat, Little Cat by Alicia Cooper. And Julie is saying that she's found that really helpful when you've lost a pet. So that's maybe something to have a look at, Abby. And have a... So that was called Big Cat, Little Cat by Alicia Cooper. So have a little look at that. Books are amazing, aren't there? There's lots of books that can just help you begin to reframe and understand. But I think, you know, grief is grief, and it is a journey that we all go through at some point in our lives. Okay, let's have a look. Oops, a daisy. I'm just looking. Okay. Abby says, I definitely will. I think I'm going to talk to a pet bereavement counsellor too. Yeah, good idea. I think that's a great idea. You know, you just got to take time, look after yourself, and yeah, it's hard. grief is one of the hardest things that we have to go through, isn't it? And grief is grief. Doesn't matter what it's over. It's something that just is heartbreaking. So, Heather, hello. Heather says, I'm sorry I'm late. Don't you worry, my lovely. I'm glad that you're here. It's nice to see you. Oh, and Helen says The Power of Now is a really good book. I think I've got that up there. Have I got that? No, I'll tell you what I've got. Oh, God. Where is it? Just trying to dig it out. So The Power of Now is a good book. I like it, but I don't like it as much as this one. So this is one of the first books I read when I sort of started on this journey to therapy, and it's called Now, Embracing the Present Moment. And I think that I preferred this one to the oh God, what's his name? The guy, I've forgotten. He's a Scandinavian chap. I might even have it up there. No, I think I've got it upstairs because it's not one of my favourites. But yeah. But thank you for suggesting it. Let's have a look. Oh, Michelle Kitch, morning. Sending you a big hug. Nice to see you. Don't worry about being late. I'm just glad you're here. You know, we all lead lives, don't we? So, Special K says, oh, this is a good question. Do you believe anxiety, depression in teens can sometimes be undiagnosed ADHD? So, I'm not an expert in this kind of thing at all, but I suppose potentially it could be. I have a friend, if you have a look up Catherine with a C, Powell, cognitive hypnotherapy, she's actually an expert in neurodiversity, and she would be a good person to talk to about this. So maybe have a look for her, Catherine Powell, cognitive hypnotherapy, because I think there's a really good charity called Advance, which is ADD Vance, VANCE, and they have some really good information as well. So you might want to have a look at them. And I think a lot of these people, they have emails or helplines that you can have a chat with them. So, but that's my suggestion. It could be, potentially, I don't know. And I think it's such an individual thing, isn't it? It's difficult to say. I would never dream of over a TikTok live making some sort of assessment of someone. So there could be all sorts of reasons, but potentially, yeah, so worth looking into. Let's have a look. Lots there. So Special Case says, thank you, Sarah. Did you say Catherine Powell and Advance? Yes, absolutely right. And then it's got a hyphen before the Vance bit. So it stands for attention deficit disorder without, hasn't got the hyperactivity thing, but they do work with that as well. They have information on that. Isabella, good morning. It's very nice to see you. I hope you're all right. Let's have a look. Okay. Just trying to scroll through. So user, I can't see the number there, but my child who's 13 has sad days when he's teary. Do you suggest talking to someone? Oh, okay. So that's difficult, isn't it? Poor thing. Bless him. Well, I'm hoping that he's talking to you, first of all. And I would see if you can find out what's going on for him. What is it? Does he know what's making him teary? Is there something specific? And I think it's always helpful to go and see the doctor. If you don't get a doctor who's helpful, first of all, then go back and find another one that is helpful. But there's lots of interesting information on Anxiety UK. There's also information on Mind. On my page, there's lots of information about anxiety. There's a really good book. Well, I don't know. I mean, it depends on what's happening. Why are they teary? I think that's interesting to look at. And I think really that reassurance that it's okay to feel. It's okay to feel whatever it is that he's feeling, and for him to know that there's a reason for this. So what has been happening leading up to him feeling teary? Is it something that's an ongoing situation, that perhaps sometimes it's the straw that breaks the camel's back and the overwhelm comes out in the form of tears? Or is it a specific sort of spike of something that happens? So I think you have to be careful about, some things are just life. Some things are sort of issues that you can definitely deal with as a parent, that reassuring, loving, and there are other things that you think, okay, we've had enough of this, let's go and see someone. So it's a very personal decision that you can make with your son. Involve him in the conversation. I think when they're that age of 13, 14, all the way through to sort of 18, it's such a tricky time, because all their hormones are beginning to flow all over their body, and they're not seen as an adult by society, but they don't feel like children anymore. And it's that limbo time of, who am I? What am I doing? So I think that gradual sense of giving responsibility, giving trust, don't do everything for him. Give him like, okay, can you do this for me? Can you go to the shop? Can you do that? Can you, whatever it is. But help him to understand that you really value him as a person and value what he contributes, and that you see his strengths. That can be massively empowering. I hope that helps a wee bit. We have got just under 10 minutes left. So thank you everyone for being here. It's really nice to see you. Let's have a look. So, Edmund School says here, driven to distraction by Halo Wheel, best book on ADHD, ADD. So that's something to look at, isn't it? If you're interested in that. Let me write that down, because I've not read that one. Driven to Distraction by Halo Wheel. Okay, I'll Google it. About ADHD and ADD. Fab, thank you for the suggestion. Let's have a look. So, how are you all doing this week? I've kind of been talking a lot, but how are you all doing? What's been the best moment of your week? What have been the things that you've done that you've been proud of, that perhaps weren't easy to do, but you pushed yourself through and you managed to do it? Let me know. I'm really interested. Let me think of, what did I do? Do you know, I had yesterday for me was a really full-on day. I just didn't stop until probably 9 o'clock last night, and I actually felt pretty good by the end of it, because I think when things are quite overwhelming, to be able to chunk them down, I was thinking, right, I just need to do this, and then I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to do that, and I was ticking stuff off. That can feel really good. So what about you? What's your week been like? Let's have a look. Okay. So, Dawny says, sorting my washing pile. Excellent. That is a good job. Good job, well done. Nothing nicer, is it, when you look and it's all gone. So that's good. Stephanie, not acting on dark thoughts. Well, do you know what? Good on you. I'm so pleased that you didn't act on any dark thoughts and that you've found strategies to keep going. I hope that you've reached out to people and communicated so that you can feel safe and keep yourself safe, Stephanie. You take care of yourself. Helen says, not good, not been a good week, but I'm a warrior, so I will get through this. You will get through this, Helen. Keep going. It's Friday. We've nearly made it through another week. Have you got stuff planned for the weekend? Have you got little joy bombs on your weekend, I wonder? Let me know what you've got going on. Let's have a look. So someone said here, where was it? Gosh, they fly through so quickly. Let's have a look. I lost that comment. They just fly by, and I see something and I go, oh, I'll just talk about that, and it goes boom. So my apologies for that. Okay, so on here. Right, so Becky Stoneley, how can I help my sons with their grief after the loss of our baby? Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. That's very, very difficult. I feel for you, because it's hard enough for you, isn't it? And then you've got other children and they're dealing with that grief as well. And Michelle Kitch underneath has commented. Thank you so much, Michelle. How lovely of you. And says Simon Says is a really good bereavement charity for children. Make a note of that. I learned so much on these lives. So I think that maybe to go and Google Simon Says, and I would imagine that they probably have people that you can talk to, and that perhaps your sons can talk with. So I hope that can help. I think that as a family unit, this sort of thing can be so challenging, because you're trying to take responsibility for your own grief and trying to help yourself, trying to help your partner, trying to help your children to deal with it, and it's easy for things to become overwhelming. I think that it's accepting and acknowledging that you have had this loss, and that's very, very difficult, but also acknowledging that it's completely normal to feel grief. It's normal to feel sad, it's normal to feel tearful, it's normal to feel angry, and sometimes it's normal to feel nothing at all, because sometimes the grief that we feel is so overwhelming that our nervous system shuts down and we go into a type of freeze, and that's a coping strategy, it's a protective thing. So all of those things are okay, and when we start, I think if we do the practical things, if we share how we're feeling, we talk about the good things in our lives as well. So we can take time to talk and share, but we can also talk about the things that we're going to do. It doesn't have to be anything big or too far ahead. It can be little things that I'm going to do tomorrow, like tomorrow I'm going to play with this, or I'm going to go outside in the garden, something as simple as that. I think that can be helpful. Making sure that you're all just doing the simple things like eating, drinking, sleeping, not expecting too much of one another, and understanding that it's okay that they can do their grief in the way that is right for them. They don't have to be like everyone else, and that you love them as much as that the love you feel for all your children is the same but different, if you know what I mean. Because as human beings we're all different, aren't we? So I hope that helps a little bit. I'm looking at the time and it's 9:58, and so I'm going to have to draw this to a close, I'm afraid. I've got one of those days where it's just a bit mad and I've got a meeting at 10, so I'm going to have to go straight from this to bosh onto my computer onto a Zoom call at 10 o'clock. So I've got no buffer, which is very badly planned by me, but I certainly wasn't going to be missing this live. So I want to thank all of you for being here, and I really, really appreciate the kindness that you show. I appreciate you coming back and telling me that some of the things that we've talked about have helped you. I appreciate you keeping going when life is really hard. Keep going, because if you can keep going and then come here and be part of this community, then that's a really wonderful thing. Thank you so much to my moderators, to Lynn 250, to Jasmine, to Vicky Handlebars, to Vicky Hodson, to Zan Shin. Thank you so much for your support and the kindness that you show to everyone on here. If you've just arrived or if you've not seen all of it, then as I said a bit on my either later on today or over the weekend, and it will be there. My YouTube is Sarah Eris Therapy, or you can reach that through my profile page here on the link tree, and that's just my YouTube. So do go and have a wee look, but take care of yourselves, keep going, be kind to yourselves as best you can, and I hope that you have a lovely weekend and a good rest of your Friday. And the next one, I should tell you, the next one is next Friday. I'm thinking probably I'll go back to it being 10 o'clock. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Would you prefer 10? Would you prefer another time? What do you think? 9. Elaine says 9. Lynn just says yes, please. Oh, bless you, Lynn. You're so lovely. Let's have a look. So, Ali, it's so nice to see you. I hadn't seen you. Yay, sending you a big hug. So, Ali, it's 9 p.m. where you are. So, good for you. 9. All right, okay, cool. Okay, I'm going to do 9 o'clock next. Let me write that down. 9 a.m. next Friday. Okay, cool. All right, I will say goodbye. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for all of your follows, all of your gifts, all of your likes. You are lovely people.